Good morning to all of you. Today I would like to talk about immunoprophylaxis. So what is immunoprophylaxis? Prevention of diseases by administration of vaccines, immunoglobulins and immunostimulants is immunoprophylaxis. And the immunoprophylaxis have led to a significant decline in worldwide morbidity and mortality. Immunization has been an important contribution of microbiology to medicine. And by systemic active immunization program, many developed countries, they have virtually eliminated vaccine preventable diseases such as diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus, measles, mumps, rubella and poliomyelitis. So, why immunization is important? In order to provide prophylaxis against various infectious diseases. Whenever we talk about immunoprophylaxis, such type of picture come in our mind. If we talk about the immune defenses or immunity, we can have either active immunity or we can have passive immunity. What is active immunity? This active immunity can be either natural or this can be acquired. The natural immunity we can have by clinical or subclinical infection, whereas the acquired immunity we can obtain through following vaccination. So after vaccination, whatever immunity we have, that is acquired active immunity, and whatever immunity we have after clinical or subclinical infection, that is natural immunity, natural active immunity. If we talk about passive immunity, we can have passive immunity again by natural means or acquired means. Natural passive immunity we can have by transfer of maternal antibodies through placenta or through mother milk. So through placenta or mother milk, naturally we get passive immunity. Whereas by administration of immunoglobulin or anti-sera, whatever immunity we obtain, that is acquired passive immunity. So in order to understand the immunoprophylaxis, first there should be concepts should be clear in our mind how we have immune defenses in our body by active immunity and by passive immunity, and what is the difference between active immunity and passive immunity. Now the term is vaccine. What is the term vaccine means? A vaccine is any preparation which is intended to produce immunity to a disease by stimulating the production of antibodies or by cellular immunity also. So the types of vaccines are, we can have vaccines from live pathogens which are live attenuated ones. Live attenuated means the organism has lost its pathogenicity, whereas antigenicity is still intact. The pathogens, they lost their pathogenicity or ability to cause the disease, whereas antigenicity is still intact. So if they are given to the body, then they are able to induce the host immune response. Whereas there are killed microorganisms also, they can also be given in form of vaccines. So killed microorganism can also be given as vaccine, or vaccine can be prepared from killed microorganism also. Then third thing is, we can prepare vaccines from microbial extract also. And then there are conjugate vaccines, subunit vaccines, then there are toxoids. What are toxoids? Toxoids are nothing but toxins which has been converted into toxoid with help of formaldehyde. When we treat the purified toxin with formaldehyde, then they gets inactivated and then they are known as toxoids. Whereas conjugates are what? Carbohydrate polysaccharide antigens are conjugates. Then subunit vaccine, recombinant vaccines, they are also there, which are nowadays popular one. And microbial extract, they can also act as vaccine. Now, types of vaccine. These are certain examples of vaccines. Live vaccines are smallpox vaccine like variola vaccine. Live attenuated vaccines are like BCG vaccine. Oral typhoid vaccine is live attenuated vaccine. Vaccine for plague, oral polio vaccine, yellow fever vaccine, measles, mumps, rubella. These vaccines are live attenuated vaccine, whereas vaccine which we give for influenza through intranasal route, that is again live attenuated vaccine, and typhus fever vaccine is also live attenuated vaccine. So as I told you that in live attenuated vaccine, pathogenicity goes away, whereas antigenicity remains intact. Hence, they are able to induce our immune response whenever they are introduced in our body. Killed vaccines or inactivated vaccines, here the microorganism has been killed either by heat or by phenol or by formaldehyde, then they are given. But remember, killed vaccines are although safe, but booster doses are required. Whereas live attenuated vaccine, they cannot be given to the immunocompromised person, and they are better one, reason being they activate our immune response, humoral as well as cellular immune response, but we can't give them to the immunocompromised persons. So these are the differences between live attenuated vaccines and killed vaccines. Typhoid vaccine, cholera vaccine, pertussis, plague, rabies, and the Salk polio vaccine, all these are examples of killed inactivated vaccine. Then whatever vaccine we give by intramuscular route in case of influenza or for H1N1, that is again killed type of vaccine. And JE vaccine, of course, this is also killed one. Now comes the example of toxoid. We all know that in diphtheria and tetanus, these are toxin mediated disease. Pathogens, they form toxin, and because of that toxin, disease is there. So that toxin can be converted into toxoid, that can be inactivated with help of formaldehyde into toxoid. So that toxoid can be given to the human body in order to induce immunity. So these diphtheria and tetanus, in these two diseases we give toxoid. Then there are cellular fraction vaccines which we give in case of meningococcal. The example of that is meningococcal polysaccharide vaccine, pneumococcal polysaccharide vaccine, and hepatitis B polypeptide vaccine. All these are example of cellular fraction vaccine. Here a fraction or a subunit of microorganism is taken up, and with help of that is given to induce immune response in human beings. Recombinant vaccines, hepatitis B vaccine is an example of recombinant vaccine. In recombinant vaccine, the gene encoding antigen, they are cloned in bacteria, yeast or mammalian system using recombinant technology. And the expressed antigenic protein, they are purified and they are used as vaccine. Now, swine flu vaccine, intranasal live attenuated vaccine. When we give the vaccine by intranasal route, then that vaccine is live attenuated one, whereas the one which is given by intramuscular route, that is inactivated vaccine. So these are how vaccine can be introduced into human beings. Now, this is our national immunization schedule for infants, children and pregnant women. So you go through this schedule and you remember this schedule, which vaccine, when to give and how to give and how much dose should give. In pregnant female, tetanus toxoid, TT vaccine is given, 3 doses are given. In infants, BCG is given at birth, hepatitis B again given at birth, bivalent oral polio vaccine again given at birth. So at birth, before discharge from hospital, these 3 vaccines should be given to the infant. Then there are pentavalent vaccine which comprises diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus, hepatitis B and Hib. These vaccines should be given at 6, 10 and 14 week age of infant. Then again inactivated polio vaccine should be given at 6 and 14 week. Rotavirus vaccine at 6, 10 and 14 week. Then pneumococcal conjugate vaccine. Then measles, JE vaccine, they should also be given before 9-month age of infant, and vitamin A of course at 9 month. Then booster doses are given in between 6 to 24 month of age. And now read yourself how much dose should be given and by which route these vaccines should be given. If we talk about vaccination for adult female, human papilloma vaccine, HPV vaccine is recommended for female age 9 to 26 year in order to prevent cervical carcinoma in females. 3 doses of this HPV vaccine are given at 0, 2 and 6 month of age. MMR vaccine, measles, mumps, rubella vaccine is given in adolescents before or after adolescents females before or after marriage, but not during pregnancy, and has to be before 3 months of conception. Now there are immunoglobulins, 2 types of immunoglobulin preparations. They are used for passive immunization. One is pooled human immunoglobulin or normal human immunoglobulin, which are used for hepatitis A and measles. And in coronavirus, nowadays we are talking of plasma therapy. What is that? That is again pooled human immunoglobulins because they are there in the plasma. A specific human immunoglobulin or hyperimmune sera, they are given in hepatitis B, tetanus, rabies and vaccinia. These are prepared from patients who are in convalescent phase of disease and they are recovering from that infection. So passive immunization in form of a specific immunoglobulin can also be given. Now talk about toxoids. These are nothing but these are toxins which has been rendered or which has been inactivated one. As I told you previously, for tetanus and for diphtheria. So antisera and antitoxin, they are the materials which are prepared in animals for prevention of diphtheria, tetanus, gas gangrene, botulism. But only disadvantage while we prepare them in animal is that there can be chances of hypersensitivity because of animal proteins. Then antiviral serum is also an example of this antiserum. Now, in certain diseases, we can go for individual immunization. Individual immunization is what? That has not been included in National Immunization Program, UIP or API. These vaccines are not included. But on demand by individual or by prescription in individual case, as and when required, they can be given to the person. For example, hepatitis B vaccine. This is proposed for healthcare professional because they frequently come in contact with HBV, hepatitis B virus. So this is recommended for healthcare professionals. Then varicella vaccine, live attenuated OCA strain of varicella zoster virus. This is also indicated if there is household contact of any person who is suffering from varicella virus. Then typhoid vaccine, they are recommended above age of 5 years. And 2 type of vaccines are there, live oral GAL-E mutant of vaccine and injectable purified VI polysaccharide vaccine. These 2 type vaccine are included in individual immunization. Now talk about vaccination during outbreak. Flu vaccines like swine flu vaccine or influenza vaccine and cholera vaccine, they are recommended during outbreak. Like we are desperate for corona vaccine nowadays in this pandemic. Then there is a term immunomodulation. What is that? Immunomodulator are the agent which weaken the immunocompetent cell, which in turn decreases the inflammatory response. What are the uses of immunomodulator? They are used in organ transplantation. They are used in autoimmune disorders. cycloserine, azathioprine, 6-mercaptopurine. These are the drugs which are given during organ transplantation in order to prevent the organ rejection or in order to prevent the transplant rejection. Then corticosteroid, we can include them in the category of mild immunomodulators. Lastly, I would like to talk about the cold chain. What is cold chain? For live attenuated vaccine, we have to maintain the temperature of vaccine once they are manufactured, and then they are transported to the place where they can be given to the patient or where they can be introduced into the persons. So during that, from manufacturing to introduction, temperature should be maintained. Their temperature should be maintained. So cold chain has to be maintained, and for that such type of vaccine carriers you must have seen in the dispensaries, PSC, CSC, or at medical college level, vaccine department also, or PSM department, you must have seen such type of vaccine carriers. So why are they for? They are for temperature monitoring and for temperature maintenance, so that live attenuated vaccine, they remain activated during that. And such type of vials, they are attached with vaccine carriers. These are vaccine vial monitors. They are nothing but they comprises of chemical indicator strip. Chemical indicator strips are there, and they are for temperature monitoring. These chemical indicator strips, they changes their color in a gradient manner if the temperature goes beyond the prescribed limits. So these vials, they should be attached with the vaccine carriers, and cold chain in case of live attenuated vaccine must be maintained anyhow, so as the vaccine can remain intact. So how was this lecture? Kindly inform me. Thank you very much, and don't forget to subscribe Microbiology by Dr. Taruna. Thank you.